If you're like me, you want to get the most out of your entire skincare routine. So I'm starting a series basically trying to share my best practices and best product recommendations and all of that kind of stuff to really hone in on the very best skincare routine. I'm also going to be sharing always options that are affordable and accessible to as many people as possible, just kind of running with the theme of healthy and beautiful skin that's accessible to everyone. And so that's what we're going to do today. We are going to start with retinoids. I do believe that setting aside sunscreen, that retinoids are the most important component of a good skincare routine, whether you are 25 or you are 75. First of all, retinoids are basically a class of compounds that are derived from vitamin A, and they get to us in different forms. Now, a well-known form, of course, is tretinoin or retinoic acid. That is the prescription form that is active. That's really, really important that you know that the prescription form, the retinoic acid, is active. The way that works is that we have receptors in our skin, 3 actually for tretinoin. That version of vitamin A is able to attach itself to those receptors, and then our skin is able to use the vitamin and put it to work to do all kinds of really great things. What can it do? Well, it can help with hyperpigmentation because it is a pigment inhibitor. It can lighten dark spots and unwanted excess pigment. It can help with collagen production. So it's going to help with fine lines and things like that. It can, help with the firmness of our skin. It also helps with cellular turnover. So as we get older, we turn over our skin. Our skin cycle gets longer and longer. So what sits on the surface can get dull and kind of look less lustrous than it should. So vitamin A can help to move that process along so that it's a little bit more like when we were younger and we reveal fresher skin sooner, and so we look a little bit more youthful. It definitely can help with the texture of our skin. So we know that vitamin A is really kind of a key to a great skincare routine. It also is really beneficial if you are younger to get on a vitamin A early, because I can tell you that in the long run, you're only going to enjoy the benefits of it even more, and you are going to enter into where I am right now in a better place than if you didn't use vitamin A when you were younger. Okay, so the deal with tretinoin, retinoic acid is that you got to get it by prescription unless you subscribe to one of these services that are great where you can get it over, like online and stuff, but you have to go through some hoops to get it, okay? The other thing is that it's irritating. It can cause flaking skin and redness, and you really have a little bit of a process to get acclimated to the vitamin, and that process isn't always fun or pretty, okay? So enter in the over-the-counter retinoids. Now we have retinol and we have retinal, okay? We're gonna leave all the other ones out because I don't think that they are as effective. Now, retinol is the weakest of all of the retinoids on the market, and the reason why it is the least valuable, in my opinion, is because in order for it to get to be the retinoic acid, it has to be converted. So it starts out as retinol, and in our skin it gets converted to retinaldehyde, okay? Then it's still not active. So it has to be converted in our skin again, and then finally it becomes retinoic acid. It's able to bind to those 3 receptors. Our skin's able to use it and go to work. The problem is, in that process of conversion, it gets weaker and weaker every conversion. And so by the time that it is active in the form of retinoic acid, it is a weak form of vitamin A. And so it's going to do quite a bit less than if we applied that active form, straight up from tretinoin or retinoic acid or whatever, right? Okay, so that's retinol. So that leaves us with retinaldehyde. Now, for a long time, retinaldehyde was really kind of hard to come by. I mean, only some brands were doing it. More and more brands are developing retinaldehyde products because it's really the preferred choice over the counter. Now, retinaldehyde only takes that one conversion to turn it into the active form of vitamin A. So you can see that there's less can go wrong, and it also doesn't get weakened by repeated conversions. So retinaldehyde is definitely the optimal choice, okay? I was using a couple different retinols for a while during 2022. And just a couple months ago, I went back to my retinaldehyde, and I am so blown away by the difference from retinol to retinaldehyde. I do think that a lot of us go back to retinol, and we'll do that, and we're getting some results because it does provide some results. But really, we should be using retinaldehyde. Retinaldehyde is less irritating than both tretinoin and less irritating, in my experience, than retinol. It is more effective than retinol by a long shot. And because it's so close to the active form, there's less that can go wrong. We can use it and we can feel confident that it's going to convert into retinoic acid, bind to those receptors, go to work in our skin, and do all of the wonderful things that we want our retinoid to do. Okay, so I have some recommendations for you on the best retinaldehydes that I have used. It was really important to me to provide a relative budget option and mid-range options that I am enjoying. Not very often am I going to share luxury options on this channel in this skincare series that I'm going to do, because I think that they're unnecessary. I think that there are so many great options that are either budget or mid-range, that is what I'm shooting for in this entire series. So the first one that I'm going to share with you is the OG. This is Avène Retronel. I have used this for years. I love this. This one to me is the most like tretinoin. And the reason for that is its consistency. It is kind of a thicker cream texture, and it reminds me very much of tretinoin. And the reason for that is the dry down on this one is very dry. And that's how, if you've ever used tretinoin, you know that that's the same, it's that same consistency. When it dries, it just feels almost mattifying. It's not very, it's not greasy, it's not emollient, anything like that. I can tell you from using multiple bottles of that it is very effective. It helps with my hyperpigmentation. I definitely can tell after I've been using it for a length of time that my skin feels firmer, it feels brighter, it just looks better. Okay, so that is the Avène Retronel, the OG retinaldehyde, and I love it. And for a long time, it was one of the only ones available. Like, it was hard to find retinaldehyde. Avène definitely was kind of a pioneer in that respect because they've had Retronel for a long time. Their eye cream, you guys know, I've made an entire dedicated video to their Retronel / Physiolift eye cream because it is one of my favorite eye creams that contains retinaldehyde. So a very, very great option. Now, the next one is going to be a little bit more budget friendly, and that's really important to me in these videos because I want everybody to be able to use this particular ingredient in your skincare routine. And by the way, if you're using retinol right now, don't think you have to throw it away and get to this. Finish your retinol. Or you can incorporate a retinaldehyde and alternate with your retinol until you're done with your retinol. But definitely it's not throw away all your retinol. There is value in retinol, and I'm just saying for future reference, switch to retinaldehyde for better results. Okay, the next one is going to be Naturium. Now, when they came out with this one, it hasn't been very long that this one was out. I was really excited because it is $29, which, as you know, retinaldehyde goes, is pretty affordable. You get 1.7 ounces, and it's more of kind of a gel cream, but more towards a gel. It has a really beautiful texture that spreads really easily, and that's important because you really don't want to overuse any retinoid ever, whether it's retinol, retinaldehyde, or vitamin A in the form of tretinoin. You do not need a ton of it. If you use too much, you will get irritated, flaky, and red, and especially if you use too much around, sensitive areas. So always use just enough to put a thin layer on your face and on your neck if your neck can tolerate it. Okay, so this is what the Naturium looks like, and hopefully you can see how much thinner and like spreadable it is than the Avène. Now, I do think that the retinaldehyde from Naturium is a little bit weaker than my Avène, at least in the way that it performs for me on my skin. I feel like the Avène has been the best results out of any retinaldehyde I've ever used. And that could be just because I have used it for so long that I just know the results from my Avène. but the Naturium is an excellent option. It is 0.5% of retinaldehyde, and you get that 1.7 ounces for 29 bucks. So it definitely gives you enough product to see some results from even one single tube, because retinaldehyde, along with all the other retinoids, takes a while to see results. You're not going to see results in a week or 2 weeks, but you should start to see some, improvement in your hyperpigmentation, improvement in the texture of your skin after even 1 month, 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that. And then the results just start getting better and better and better. But you do have to have some patience and not expect to see results in, 2 weeks or even 3 weeks. Okay. So that is the Naturium. It's an excellent option. Now, the third option that I do have for you is the newest one to me, and it's by Medicate. I actually picked this up when I was in London. I bought it at Selfridges. I bought 2 strengths. The reason why this one is super cool to me is because the Medicate Crystal Retinaldehyde line starts at a 0.01, and that's super duper weak. So that would be really great for people with sensitive skin. Then it goes up to the 0.03, so 1/3% essentially of retinaldehyde, and then it graduates up to a 6, and then to a 10, and then to a 20. I love that. I think that system is really fantastic because you can truly be the most sensitive of skin types and start at the bottom of the ladder with retinaldehyde. And by the time you go through a tube and you graduate to the next, your skin will have acclimated to the vitamin and you can progress into the higher strengths. The goal with all of these is to get to every night usage, okay? So I start out always, any client I've ever had, anybody starting on a retinoid, I always say start out every 72 hours. Don't go longer than that because you really need your skin exposed to the vitamin in order to acclimate to the vitamin. If you go longer than that, you almost can never get past the potential irritation. So every 72 hours for a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, move to every other day, 2-3 weeks, and then eventually, maybe after a couple months, try it at every day. And if ever you get too irritated, back off and skip days. Skip a day, or and listen to your skin. That is the best way to kind of graduate into using a vitamin A consistently, because the key to all of this is the consistency. It's using it as regularly as possible for a long time. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So the Medicate is really beautiful. It is in between the other two. So it's not a gel like the Naturium, and it's not a cream like the Retronal from Aven. And you can see it's a little bit thicker of a lotion, but it has a fantastic slip to it. One single pump definitely can cover your entire face and your neck. Now, the way that I use all of these in my skincare routine, and I've been doing this now for a couple months, is I actually sandwich them into the rest of my skincare at night. So for me right now, I'm using my needleless serum from Dermatology first on my skin after I cleanse. I do a double cleanse most nights. Some nights I'm a single cleanse. It kind of depends on if I wore makeup that day, etc. So I double cleanse, then I use my needleless serum, then I use my one single pump of my one skin. Then I'm using my retinoid, and I top all of that off with my peptide night cream from Dermatology. That is what I've been doing now for a little while, and I am loving it. I wake up every day, my skin looks nice and hydrated. It looks glowy. It does not look dry or flaky or red with any of these. And I'm really digging that sandwich method with retinaldehyde. So let me know in the comments how you use your retinoid. Let me know if you're using a retinaldehyde, and let me know if you're thinking that you might switch. 2023 is going to be the year that we optimize our skincare routine and we get the most out of every single component of our routine. We should be using the best in every category. So next up, we're going to talk about vitamin C and the way that I think that you can get the most out of your vitamin C, or the way that you can actually use a vitamin C if you're like me and you have a hard time with L-ascorbic acid. I have some suggestions for you, and then I have suggestions on taking that vitamin C and making it just better. So that's coming in a video in the next week or two. I'm working on this as a series so that when we're all done, we can put it all together and have just the best routine ever for 2023. I would love to hear from you in the comments what you're doing for your routine right now, how you incorporate your retinoid, what you think about retinaldehyde. Did you know about retinaldehyde, or is this new to you? I know a lot of people know about it, but I do think lots of people don't, and they're kind of confused. They don't know where to put things. They don't know what to use. This is definitely one of the best things that you can do for your skin, wherever you are in your skincare journey, is to use a retinoid. Okay, you guys, I hope that you are having a really wonderful day, and I will talk to you in my next skincare video. Take care.